A water main break causing traffic chaos at a busy downtown intersection near St. Lawrence Market this hour. Crews now working to repair the damage caused to the roadway. Good afternoon. City officials say the break happened around dinner time last night, but it is still causing disruptions.
Traffic is being diverted at the busy downtown intersection, and water is shut off in the surrounding area, leaving residents frustrated as the cleanup continues. CTV's Janice Golding is live at the scene at Front and Scott Streets with the latest. Janice?
Hi, Pauline. Yes, residents here in the Esplanade area are feeling pretty frustrated today, given they've been without water since early yesterday evening. Now, here's what we can tell you. As you can see, the roads are still shut down here in the area with lane closures as a result of the water main break. These are along Front Street East and Scott Street. Toronto police say they were first called to the scene at around 20 to 6 last night after people reported water pooling across multiple lanes. As a result, the city had to shut down water in the area while crews began working to repair the break. There is no word yet as to how many area residents or businesses have been impacted, nor how long the repair will take. But we did speak to a number of people who live in the area this morning about the impact this is having on them.
Bit of a pain, but luckily I work from home, so not too bad. Well,
that's even worse.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't have to shower or anything to go out, so I didn't feel too bad about it. But yeah, it's true.
Well, I saw the water leak about 9 o'clock on my first dog walk, and at 10:30, I think the second dog walk, it would look like they still hadn't shut the water off. They're walking over to church and church in front trying to shut the water off. And then I found it this morning at 6 o'clock. My wife went to the gym to use the water there.
I mean, pretty inconvenient. Like just getting back from holiday and stuff, and not getting back into my place and not having access to, not being able to do anything, right? Laundry and stuff, so.
The city, in the meantime, says it recognizes how disruptive this is for people in the area and says it appreciates everyone's patience and understanding as crews work to fix the situation. We're putting live from Janice Golding now back to Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Janice. Police are still searching for a driver in connection with a deadly hit and run in Midtown on New Year's Eve. A 70-year-old woman was killed after being struck by two vehicles while crossing Eglinton east of Yonge around 7:15 a.m. yesterday. Both vehicles left the scene, but one driver surrendered to police several hours later. 48-year-old Hamid Abdul was arrested and charged with dangerous operation causing death and leaving the scene of an accident causing death. Police have not provided any details about the second vehicle involved. They are asking anyone with information to come forward. Meanwhile, a 32-year-old woman from Ottawa is dead after being struck by a vehicle on the 401 in Mississauga. It happened shortly after 6 a.m. yesterday in the eastbound collector lanes at Dixie Road. OPP have not indicated why the woman was outside of a vehicle on the highway. The cause of the incident is still under investigation.
Barrie police are investigating after a 10-year-old child was found dead inside a home on New Year's Eve.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. So it's just everybody's in shock and want to know what's going on.
Police were called to a home on Bayview Drive near Little Avenue for a wellness check around 3 p.m. yesterday. When officers arrived, they found the child dead. A 47-year-old woman, who police say is the child's mother, was taken to hospital. Police have not provided any details about the child's cause of death. They say there is no risk to public safety.
A Hamilton man is facing multiple charges, including impaired driving, after police say he drove a pickup truck on the QEW with only 3 wheels. OPP officers pulled the truck over in Grimsby before 11:30 on New Year's Eve. Multiple callers reported seeing it on the Toronto-bound QEW in St. Catharines, with sparks flying because of the missing wheel. Police say the driver registered more than double the legal limit for alcohol. Further investigation also revealed that the driver's license had been suspended since 2001. Still ahead on CTV News Toronto at noon, 100 of Canada's highest paid CEOs made nearly 248 times more than the average Canadian worker in a year. We'll have the details outlined in a new report a little later in the newscast.
But first, the new year will bring some big changes to in-person work rules for many employees across the province, including thousands of public service workers set to return to the office full-time on Monday.
They will join other employees from banks and tech companies who have also been called back in recent months as part of a shift away from remote work. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live with more on the big return to the office. Beth.
Natalie, starting Monday, tens of thousands of Ontario public servants will be returning to the office 5 days a week. And that's a big change from the pandemic era accommodation that was announced months ago. This fall, employees were asked to return 3 days a week. There is a desire by the government to help the economy rebound and improve morale among co-workers. But there are also lots of issues to consider. Some are concerned about office space. Will there be enough desks for everyone? The Premier has said there are enough desks for everyone. In addition to traffic and the reality, some workers really became used to working from home and do not want to commute or pay for childcare. Here's what some employment lawyers have to say.
Subject to any human rights issues where employees require accommodation based on, illness and that sort of thing, they really don't have a choice. If you work in the OPS and the requirement is to return to work, you really got to come back to work physically, and use the weekends to do all the things that all of us got used to in terms of the little chores here and there that we all found quite convenient to do.
I'm going to be looking out for traffic. I am significantly concerned about traffic. It's already taking a very long time to get home. So traffic, I think, is of significant concern. And the question is there space? Has space been altered in downtown Toronto such that there isn't sufficient space for healthy work spaces? So we're going to look out for that, and let's see what happens.
Some say there are ways to make employees feel better about returning to the office, such as productivity incentives and prizes. Reporting live at Queen's Park, I'm Beth McDonnell. Pauline, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. A new poll shows nearly half of Ontarians think the Ford government's plan to put a tunnel under the 401 is unrealistic. 48% of the 1,000 people polled by Liaison Strategies also describe the proposal as risky and wasteful, compared to 18% who see it as a bold nation-building project. 75% are concerned about safety and construction risks after they were told about reported internal risks like roadway collapse. 47% believe the tunnel will do nothing or little to actually reduce traffic congestion.
Pollsters also asked people who they would vote for if a provincial election were held today. 44% of decided and leaning voters said they would vote for Ford's Progressive Conservatives. 35% would vote for the Ontario Liberals. The poll shows the PC's leading in Eastern Ontario and Southwestern Ontario, while the Liberals are ahead in the 416, 905 in the North. The poll was conducted over the first weekend of December. More news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. Another cool but sunny start to the day here in the city to round out the week and get this new year going. But there is some snow on the way. Jessica Smith joins us now with a look at the current conditions. Jess.
It is chilly out there, but having that sunshine really does make a big difference when you're looking outside to start the day and you at least have the sun. But it's also indicative sometimes of some cooler temperatures. We're still contending with lake effect snow for those communities. Again, through Goderich to Owen Sound, Parry Sound, no real change for you there. Here in the GTA, we could see the kind of remnants of lake effect snow, but we're not dealing with any heavy snows for now. Still watching in those same areas for another 10 to maybe 25 centimeters, depending on where you are. If you're traveling, I know maybe some folks are still off this time of year. Just be careful on the roads. It is cool out there, -7 in Hamilton, -6 in Niagara, -9 in Barrie, but we're holding on at a fairly seasonal point as we head throughout the afternoon. Through the islands, through Pearson, between -4 and -5 as we get into the afternoon, we'll sit a little shy of seasonal, but I'll take those peaks of sunshine here and there. Coming up, a full look at your long-range forecast right now. It's back to Pauline.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks.
The pay gap between Canada's top CEOs and the average worker continues to grow, according to a new study.
What's happening here is that when companies do well, the CEO sees huge expansion in their bonuses, and companies have been doing very well since the pandemic. A lot of folks are seeing the price of almost everything go up. Well, that money goes somewhere, and one of the important places that it has gone is big increases in corporate profits. CEO bonuses are often based to some degree on corporate profits.
A report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives found 100 of Canada's highest paid CEOs made an average of $16.2 million in 2024. That's about 248 times more than the average Canadian worker and surpasses the previous record of $14.9 million set in 2022. The CEO of Shopify topped the list with a paycheck of over $205 million.
Removing interprovincial trade barriers was a key priority for the federal government in 2025 in response to the tariffs from our southern neighbors.
And legislation intended to do just that recently went into effect. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has the details.
It's a promise the Prime Minister made often in 2025.
So we're building one Canadian economy.
A pledge to remove barriers to interprovincial trade announced last year that today came into effect. Bill C-5, the Free Trade and Labour Mobility in Canada Act, now means provincial requirements for goods and services and workers' licenses will be recognized federally too.
I think symbolically, it's a really good way to start off the year. Actual impact, I think it's really more the provinces than the feds that we're looking for action from.
A separate mutual recognition agreement signed by all provinces and the feds is set to be implemented by June. It will further impact interprovincial trade, but still experts say some key goods are excluded and still face challenges.
Alcohol, right? Beer, wine, spirits is one example, right, that we hear a lot about. And so there are still ongoing conversations at the provincial level to make it easier to move those goods across borders.
While 2025 saw governments across the board push to trade more within the country, several bilateral agreements were signed between provinces. Experts say 2026 needs to be about follow-through.
There needs to be tangible action on the ground this year, and it needs to come quickly because the CUSMA threat is hanging over all of us.
On the international front, the stakes couldn't be higher. Canada's free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico is up for review this year, only putting more pressure on bolstering the domestic economy.
I think it's fundamental to our ability to respond to the threat from the United States, from the tariffs, which probably aren't going to go away soon, even though we have the possibility of a review of the CUSMA.
Formal talks are set to get underway in the coming weeks ahead of a July deadline, when a decision will have to be made whether to extend the agreement as is, negotiate a new one, or either country could choose to walk away. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Prime Minister will be in France early next week to join talks with Ukraine's European allies. Mark Carney will be in Paris Monday and Tuesday for a gathering of the so-called Coalition of the Willing. The group is looking to move forward a peace deal. The Prime Minister's office says Carney's focus remains on fortifying Ukraine, supporting its long-term recovery and deterring future Russian aggression. Canada announced $2.5 billion in financing and loan guarantees during a visit by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last weekend.
In Switzerland, initial findings indicate the deadly fire at a ski resort was likely caused by sparkler candles being carried too close to the ceiling. The official death toll is 40, with 119 injured in the tragedy hours after midnight on New Year's Eve. Of the injured, 71 are Swiss, 14 are French, and 11 are Italian. Investigators will also check whether the ceiling's insulation foam in the bar was to blame for the rapid spread of the fire. Further investigations will show if anyone needs to be held criminally liable for negligence. Global Affairs said yesterday it is not currently aware of any Canadians among the casualties.
The Canadian government is expressing its opposition to Chinese military drills off Taiwan this week. Beijing said Wednesday it successfully completed 2 days of exercises. Today, Global Affairs insisted Canada opposes any unilateral attempts to change the status quo across the Taiwan Strait and insists the waterway is indispensable to the security and prosperity of the international community. China renewed its long-standing commitment to the annexed island earlier this week.
Zoran Mamdani has begun his first full day on the job as the new mayor of New York City.
The only expectation I seek to reset is that of small expectations. Beginning today, we will govern expansively and audaciously. We may not always succeed, but never will we be accused of lacking the courage to try. To those who insist that the era of big government is over, hear me when I say this. No longer will City Hall hesitate to use its power to improve New Yorkers' lives. So help me God.
The 34-year-old was sworn in yesterday. He took office with a pledge to govern as a democratic socialist and help working-class New Yorkers. Mamdani has also announced steps to strengthen tenant protections and expand housing construction. A Toronto man is sharing his story as he recovers from anxiety and addiction.
Matthew Nealon grew up at a time when mental health supports were not easily available to him despite his continued interface with the medical system. Now, a new partnership between the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health and Sick Kids Hospital is working to ensure that every child gets the care they need.
The only thing I knew how to do was literally shut down. And the way to shut down was to survive.
Born in 1986 with a cleft lip and palate, the hospital became a second home to Matthew Nealon as he underwent dozens of surgeries as a child.
As I was growing up, I started to recognize that I didn't like these operations that we're going through. And I knew at the time I was different.
His parents by his side for every appointment and operation, but still he says he felt alone. Unable to process the emotional trauma of the physical surgeries, severe anxiety overtook his life.
I would just projectile vomit. My body would collapse. I wouldn't be able to move. I wouldn't be able to speak. And I would just be in such intense fear and terror that I didn't know what else to do.
As an adult, turning to alcohol to help him cope with panic attacks, anxiety for which decades ago there was little support.
Because there was no knowledge, the fear was just skyrocketing. It honestly felt like I was going to die every single time.
Fast forward nearly 40 years, and there was a world of new understanding of the need for mental health support for children and youth. CAMH teaming up with Sick Kids to launch Thriving Minds, an initiative to ensure coordinated and connected care.
Children and youth trying to access the mental health system really experience a very fragmented system of care. There are multiple front doors, multiple waiting lists, and sometimes they wait for a long time and then find that they can't even access the type of care that they need.
Referring young people to specialized mental health programs and supports like Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario.
If we can get in there early, we can ensure that youth and their families have the best outcomes possible when it comes to mental health. We can help them develop skills and tools to manage some of the things they're struggling with, get them connected to the right primary care providers.
Very often, by the time children and youth are seeking mental health care with us, they may already be having an episode of ill health and for which they need care. So what we're doing is really preventing that from getting any worse, which frequently can happen when people sit on wait lists for a long time.
Expanded access to mental health care that Matthew Nealon wishes he had had so many years ago.
I'm now mentally capable of handling all that anxiety and stress and terror and fear that happened back as a kid.
Sharing his own story of anxiety and addiction recovery in a memoir to encourage young people in need of support to connect with care.
As we head throughout the afternoon, it remains chilly, but if you have the right layers on, still comfortable to get out and get active. If you're going to go skating this afternoon or this evening, make sure you have the right layers on. As we head in towards 5 p.m., sitting at 7, feeling like minus 14, so cool, but still fairly seasonal with a moderate westerly wind. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. We'll keep an eye on some snow on the way as we head in towards the weekend and look ahead to the first full week of 2026. Those details after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, it's pretty cold out, but at least there was sunshine today, and we have things to look forward to next week.
We were just talking about all of the snow that builds up and then lasts for months and months and months, and how the snow on your parking pad today will still be there in March, unless.
Well, it will get a little warmer next week, so we have lots to look forward to. If you're not a fan of the winter in general, I don't have any good news for you there, but it does get warmer as we head in towards next week, and there's some rain on the way. So as we step in towards the first full week of January, we get up to about 4 degrees at a certain point, and some of that real crusty snow that kind of lingers at the end of your driveway, some of it might start to melt. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. A cool but semi-clear start to the day, but you can see just how much snow is on top of some of those buildings. You can feel how chilly it is out there, but the good news is we do rebound towards a more seasonal point throughout the next few days and then above as we head in towards the end of next week. We're still pretty cool though as we head throughout our Friday. We're at -5 here in the city, feeling like -13, but a much more moderate wind gust throughout the day today. So yes, it is still cold, but that secondary wind won't definitely push you as you head throughout the day today. But anywhere north of North Bay still dealing with some wicked wind chills in the mid to upper -20 range. Here in the city throughout the afternoon, we'll feel like -12. We'll sit at -5. We should be closer to that -1, -2 range. So we're still a little below where we should be, but hopefully the sunshine helps balance things out. And as we head throughout the day, still watching for the chance of lake effect snow here in the city, but the heavier flurries still along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Into the evening, we're a little cool as well, -12, feeling like -18, but a generally clear night for us as we wrap things up here in the city and throughout the downtown core. We are looking at still those very same watches and warnings again for Goderich, Parry Sound, Owen Sound. Well, Parry Sound out of it now, but you're still seeing some lake effect flurries, and Barrie in that as well. An additional 10 to maybe 25 centimeters. So if you're traveling throughout the weekend, I know a lot of folks still off, just be careful out on the roads. No real major systems, at least for today. That trough still driving that lake effect snow across central and southern Ontario. We do have a low moving in though as we head in towards the start of the weekend, set to bring some flurries for a portion of your weekend. Timing everything out though, it's not terrible. Again, we head throughout our day today, heavier snow areas just north of Owen Sound. And then as we head in towards the evening, we start to see a little bit of that taper off. So just generally across central, southern Ontario, we get a little break from some of that lake effect snow. We head in towards your Saturday morning. It returns again. If you live in those communities, you're, I'm sure, used to this, but it doesn't make it any less challenging. And if you're traveling throughout the weekend, just take care. We head throughout your Saturday kind of late morning, early afternoon. That's when that low pushes in and we'll see some snow here in the city and throughout the GTA, but it moves out relatively quickly. And as we head in towards the end of your weekend, we wrap things up. A lot of folks may be getting back into the swing of things for getting into school and back into work. We'll have a little bit of sunshine out there. Now, temperature-wise, it's a little fresh today. We return to a more seasonal, at least low, as we head in towards the beginning of your weekend. But we're holding on again at -4 throughout the day. That activity late morning, kind of mid-afternoon, and then it pushes out into the evening. A sunny but very fresh Sunday. We step in towards Monday, another round of snow on the way on and off, so keep that in mind. And then we step into a warming stretch. So we get above seasonal as we head in towards your Monday evening, and that continues through your Tuesday, your Wednesday, and your Thursday. We're up to 4 degrees likely by the time we get into Thursday next week, and that comes with some rain. So hopefully it'll get rid of some of maybe that yuckier snow that kind of ends at the end of the driveway kind of snow, if you know what I'm talking about. And then as we head in towards the long range forecast, will get to a much more seasonal point. Hopefully this helps you plan. Pauline, Natalie, I'll send things back to you.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Thanks.
For many parents, pacifiers are a baby essential, helping their little ones stay calm and sleep better.
But have you ever wondered how safe they are? Experts say there are some types on the market that you shouldn't buy. Pat Foran explains in Consumer Alert.
Pacifiers are a staple for new parents, soothing babies through tears, sleep, and even doctor visits. They can also help reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. But how safe are they? Since 2014, the Consumer Product Safety Commission received 178 reports involving pacifiers, including 1 death and cases of choking, biting off pieces, and getting fingers stuck in small holes. Consumer Reports tested 20 pacifiers for choking hazards, harmful chemicals, and durability. Most performed well, but a few raised red flags for risky attachments or confusing labels.
Unsafe pacifiers do make it into the marketplace.
Testers found questionable pacifiers online, from glittery, blinged-out models with rhinestones, which could be a potential safety risk, to second-hand or vintage ones that don't meet safety standards.
That's why it gets tricky when shopping online, especially through third-party sellers. Some of those products may not have gone through proper safety testing.
When shopping on sites like Amazon, Walmart, or Temu that allow third-party sellers, it's recommended to go with trusted brands and to check that listings confirm safety testing. But it's not just an issue online. Researchers found a pacifier at a local store missing the required safety warning. A reminder to be careful whenever you shop for baby products. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Well, the holidays may officially be over, but it remains to be seen what impact the last few weeks may have had on Ontario's flu numbers. Public Health Ontario paused its updates, citing limited data availability over the holidays. The agency plans to refresh its data next week. The most recent figures for the week ending December 13th show influenza positivity rates were considered very high. They were around 34% among the overall population and around double that figure among Ontarians ages 5 to 19, with nearly 1,000 flu patients hospitalized. Infectious disease experts have advised staying up to date on vaccines and avoiding gatherings if you're sick.
Disney Plus is out with a somewhat tongue-in-cheek preview for the return of The Muppet Show.
Back on the very stage where it all started and then ended and is maybe starting again depending on how tonight goes.
Kermit, Miss Piggy, and many more iconic Jim Henson characters are back for a one-off special event on February 4th. It will also feature appearances from executive producer Seth Rogen and Sabrina Carpenter. As the trailer suggests, it's expected the Muppet Show special could set the stage for a broader relaunch of the series 50 years after the original debuted. Meanwhile, the new year means some other classic characters are now part of the public domain. The original Betty Boop, whose trademark hoop earrings started off as floppy dog ears, is among those that are now available for public use. She's joined by Popeye, Tintin, and the first version of Disney's Pluto, who was named Rover. Under U.S. law, the copyright on thousands of works from 1930, including books, movies, songs, and cartoons, expired as of January 1st.
There's some exciting news this week for fans of K-pop superstars BTS. The band has been on hiatus for years as its 7 members made their way through mandatory military service in South Korea. But BTS is now confirming a new album will drop on March 20th. They announced the news by sending handwritten notes to members of their official fan club. The last album from BTS was Proof, released in 2022. And still ahead on CTV News, we take a look at what's to come this year at Queen's Park as a controversy surrounding the Skills Development Fund continues to loom over the Ford government. As Doug Ford's PC government moves into the next year of its 3rd straight majority government, there is much more on the agenda at Queen's Park in 2026.
The controversial Skills Development Fund will likely remain front and center. Here's more on what to expect at the legislature in the year ahead.
I'm John Moore from News Talk 1010. We're taking a look now at the year ahead at Queen's Park, and who better to walk us through that than Deb Hutton, former advisor to 2 Ontario premiers, also the show host from 2 to 4 p.m. at News Talk 1010, and Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is here as well. Let's talk briefly about the Skills Development Fund, because I'm curious about where you see this going in the year to come. And Siobhan, I know that the opposition is insisting there should be an inquiry, but you know, we don't live in an era these days where it seems governments at any level call inquiries anymore.
No, and I don't expect that that's going to happen. What we could see happen in the next few months is the Integrity Commissioner dig into some of the complaints that have been filed by both the Liberals and the NDP around the distribution of the money and some connections they believe the minister has to some of the recipients. So that would be, I think, the closest thing to getting more answers we might see. There is a police investigation now into one of the recipients of a different part of government funding that does have some overlap with the Skills Development Fund. So, but I don't expect, police move slowly. They move in the quiet, in the dark. So we won't see anything on that front for quite a while. So I think it also remains to be seen how big the snowball continues to get while the House is out of session until March.
Worth noting, though, Deb, there are some delicious aspects to this scandal. When you get down to a strip club, which is located in the horticulture building at the fairgrounds, people start to take notice. But again, I find that this particular scandal, if we're going to call it that, keeps failing to get enough traction to really get people concerned.
Right, because there's a ton of facts,
but none that really line up together. And that's the challenge for the opposition. Now, if that changes, I think, the nature of the entire issue itself. Siobhan's right, there could be some integrity commissioner look-aheads, and that sometimes gives you some advice to government as to how you can clean things up. There still is more to give out on this fund, actually. It's a massive fund. I don't know, is it $2.5 billion or something? So they will have to make sure that going forward, as these grants are given out, that there's a little more rigor around the process. But to date, unless there is that smoking gun, to use a cliche, I think, especially with the rise of the House until March, I think it goes away for a little while and maybe forever.
Okay, well, and as a sidebar, Siobhan, can we talk about the break that the House is on? Because that can be very, very advantageous. But a lot of people look at that and the long summer break and think, okay, when are you guys going to work?
Yeah, I mean, Deb will know that MPPs are working during that time. They have a lot of meetings. They're interfacing with their constituents, finding out what's important to them. But when you stack those two breaks together in this calendar year and a little bit more, I think people are frustrated knowing how little time they're seeing their MPPs in a very visible way making discussions, and it's also impacting the way that legislation is being crafted and ultimately passed. We've seen a couple times through this fall session that MPPs are actually having to add new things into legislation for a bill they already passed because they forgot some element or weren't specific enough. And so I think that's what you hear from the opposition, that that's the sort of thing that happens when things are rushed.
Deb, do you see them possibly declaring a new session or just coming back and picking up where they left off?
I don't think so. I mean, they've only really had a session and a half of sorts, and throne speeches take time to do, and that's what you have to do if you're coming back with a new session. So no, I think they'll come back, and their cornerstone of the spring will be their budget. And we'll see what it looks like. The Premier continues to talk about tax cuts, which I'm all for. We'll see where he goes on spending. And I mean, listen, we're still going to be talking tariffs in 2026, and there'll still be more to do. Our auto sector has continued to take quite a hit, and his EV battery plans have taken a bit of a hit, just given where we are with EV sales. So, I mean, there is a lot that will be in that budget and a lot of important stuff, even if it doesn't happen in question period.
The education minister has been quite categorical in his conduct and his words, actually. And Siobhan, it's possible in the coming year the province may actually move toward not disbanding school boards, but I mean amalgamating, getting rid of trustees. They already have, I think we're up to 6 that are in trusteeship, effectively being run by the province. I actually have people who are telling me that the government is going to make this initiative. They're just in the process of lawyering it to make sure it's charter compliant.
It's hard to see any other path forward other than getting rid of trustees, based on how Minister Paul Calandra has been speaking for a few months now. And he said he's not convinced that trustees are the greatest way to deliver a multi-billion-dollar education system. He has ruled out the idea of eliminating school boards, merging school boards. I think that had been a possibility maybe in the later part of the summer, but we do expect that this will be a pretty big change in terms of how governance at school boards works, and they do want to make sure that any changes that they do are constitutionally okay, because the requirements for Catholic education and French education have to be respected, and they don't want to end up in the courts on this one.
Let's talk about some of the personalities. Bonnie Crombie, of course, will eventually exit stage left, and then the Liberals have to pick somebody new. What do you see?
Well, nothing is the problem. I mean, I think that's their challenge. We don't have a date. We don't have a process. And so not unusual that people won't declare overtly that they're in until they know what the rules are, how much it costs to get in, how many signatures, all those sort of process type things. But I don't even see anyone really that if I were a Liberal, I'd say I really need to make sure this person is running to replace Bonnie. I mean, John Fraser's been their interim leader. He's a good stalwart. He's not going to be running. Nate Erskine-Smith is someone we hear about a lot because he puts his hand up and his head up in, quite frankly, not the smartest of ways. So I'm not sure that's a viable option for them. You know, there's some good MPPs I know that you talk to regularly on your show, Dr. Shamji, for example, but I don't sense that they are, in fact, we've heard the opposite, that they're going to run. It is reminiscent of when the Conservatives way back in the 90s were in 3rd place, and we had more announcements of people not running. They would put out a press release and say they're not running, whether anyone thought they were or not, than we did for people running. We ended up with a 2-candidate race, and it was some lean years, without a doubt.
Siobhan, are you getting any scuttlebutt at Queen's Park? Is it a restive caucus?
I think you're seeing some people not willing to answer right now. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I'm talking to my constituents about whether I should run or not. But you do have the difficult position is the caucus are people who have seen what Doug Ford and his PC party are capable of, and that's a tall hill to climb, knowing what they did to Bonnie Crombie, what they did to Stephen Del Duca, again, with those relentless ads. And so you have to know that that's what you're signing up for, digging your party out from third place, hopefully to government if you're a Liberal, of course, and knowing that you have a really tough task ahead of you and needing to find a weak spot in the PC government that might not be obvious at this point.
Okay, Doug Ford. I don't think 2026 is the year that he quits, but he's got to start clearing his throat on the next chapter because, I mean, if he were to run for a fourth term, Deb, I think there's only one other Ontario Premier who pulled that off.
But Premier Doug Ford has surprised people at every single turn. So that's not something I'd put money on. I mean, if I were him personally, it is a draining job. You see it, and to do it for a dozen years is phenomenal, and particularly because he's had some challenges, whether you want to talk about COVID or you want to talk about the tariffs. I mean, this has not been an easy decade. And so, you know, any other person, I would say, we'll probably start to hear by 2027 they're gone. I will not put money on that for Premier Doug Ford.
It caught us by surprise when Dalton McGuinty quit, but they'd have to engineer something like that with the provincial Conservatives, Siobhan, where there has to be an exit date perhaps set or a signal sent, and then all of the people who've been in caucus and cabinet probably who want to run have to start marshalling their forces.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your party open to being to losing and having another party take over the government of the province. Deb's right. You know, the premier has faced a really tough go. I think COVID really interrupted some of what he had hoped to accomplish in the province. I think he also had a rough first 2 years where he came into government, realized that a lot of what he wanted to do, he was going to get a lot of pushback on. I think of the cut to the size of city council. Of course, he was successful in the end, but there was a lot more resistance in those early years and a really frenetic pace sitting through the summer, and that wears on a government, it wears on a premier, it wears on all the people around him, and so that's something to consider about when you think about what's next for him.
Thank you both. Good to have you. That's Deb Hutton and Siobhan Morris on the year to come at Queen's Park. Any way you shake it out, it's great stuff for wonks like us.
And since the recording of this panel, the Integrity Commissioner has launched an investigation into Labour Minister David Piccini's involvement with the Skills Development Fund to determine whether any parliamentary rules were violated.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Toronto Zoo is kicking off 2026 with a showcase of some of the employment offerings it is offering this year. The zoo's annual job fair and career exploration event is taking place at the site's special events center. Attendees are getting the inside scoop about everything from volunteer and seasonal roles to longer-term career pathways. The zoo says the fair offers potential applicants a chance to connect directly with members of its team.
So we have actually 22 different roles available, 200 plus positions, and those can be roles in everything from horticulture to materials collection to finance to HR. So we're hoping the best and the brightest from our community come on out and have a chance to join our team. We're looking for those folks who are truly passionate about our mission, connecting people, animals, conservation science, and traditional knowledge to fight extinction, and folks who have unique skill sets and perspectives that they'll really be able to add value to our pursuit of that. So it depends the role, and what's amazing is there's something for everyone here, and we hope that this can be part of their career journey.
The zoo is also offering free admission and parking to attendees and one guest each. The job fair and career exploration event runs until 3 with last entry at 2:30.
In sports, Canadian basketball star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has received another accolade for his success on the court in 2025. The Hamilton native has been named Sports Illustrated's 2025 Sportsperson of the Year. Gilgeous-Alexander led the OKC Thunder to a championship and was named Finals MVP, League MVP, and NBA Scoring Champion. The award is given every year to an athlete whose performance embodies excellence, achievement, character, and sportsmanship.
On the ice, the Maple Leafs were looking to start the new year off on the right foot, hosting the Winnipeg Jets last night.
threw it off a couple of sets of skates. Barrie fumbled it. Matthews scored.
Austin Matthews led the way with a hat trick, giving the Buds the lead in the third period after trailing for most of the game. Toronto held on to win the high-scoring affair 6-5. They're back in action tomorrow night visiting the New York Islanders.
And Canada will take on Slovakia today in quarterfinal action at the World Junior Hockey Championship in Minnesota.
Down to Reshnik. Back for Perek to Hage. Hage centers it, Rippinen makes the save, rebound, score!
Canada finished at the top of their group after beating Finland 7-4 on Wednesday night. The Canadians are looking to advance to the semifinals for the first time in 3 years after being knocked out in the quarterfinals at the last two tournaments. The last time Canada met Slovakia at the World Juniors was in 2023 during the quarterfinals, winning 4-3 in overtime. Puck drop tonight is set for 8:30, and you can catch all the action on TSN.
As expected, Austin Matthews will be on the roster for the U.S. men's hockey team at next month's Olympics in Italy. The Toronto Maple Leafs captain was one of 25 players announced today. Like Canada, the vast majority of the American roster is made up of players who took part in the Four Nations face-off last year. Matthews was also captain of that team. Meanwhile, fellow Leaf William Nylander will be on Sweden's Olympic team. The forward has played for the country 9 times at various tournaments. And Leafs defenseman Oliver Ekman-Larsson will also suit up for the Tre Chrono. He helped Sweden win a silver medal at the 2014 Sochi Games.
And the NHL's Winter Classic outdoor game is taking place today, this time with a twist. The game is being played in Miami, Florida, with the Panthers hosting the New York Rangers. The Panthers posted this video of center Evan Rodriguez with his family getting a tour of the facility. The ice is possible thanks to custom refrigeration units and a lot of air conditioning. The rink was prepared with the retractable stadium roof closed, but it will be opened for the game tonight. The temperature at puck drop is expected to be around 18 degrees Celsius.
Well, an Ottawa man has turned a DIY project into a multi-million-dollar business.
He's given sports families a new way to cheer on their kids thanks to his Loud Cup. CTV's Sean Varden explains.
That is a Loud Cup.
So we launched in 2021, and last July, I think we hit 1 million Loud Cups sold. And
It started during the COVID lockdown, an idea to entertain kids. Just a few pieces of pipe and a bicycle inner tube.
It was actually quite effective, and the way that it was sitting on my desk, it looked like a cup with a handle on it. And then for whatever reason, my mind starts wandering. And, I thought, well, that'd be a pretty awesome mashup, a cup that sounds like a horn.
That idea transformed into a local success story, now worth millions.
So eventually, during COVID, I had a little eureka moment and decided to try and 3D print it, and it just snowballed from there. Prototype after prototype.
After dozens of prototypes and countless hours, success.
And I can sip and cheer at the same time. The moms just love it. I mean, not only does it allow us to bring a drink in the arena of water, of course, and but we don't need a bell anymore. We just use the Loud Cup. We can sip and we can blow the horn and then cheer our kids.
Conahan's business growing, the Ottawa startup not forgetting to give back, sponsoring local golf pros, rowing and hockey.
Called Jay and I said, hey Jay, the team's looking for sponsorship, and Jay said, yeah, no problem.
The Stittsville Rams receiving funds and their own Loud Cups.
We bring it loud and proud, and yeah, we love it.
Obviously we're a business, and we're here to make money. But if we can support youth, if we can support families, we're all in.
So far, Loud Cups are only available online. Conahan says with 6 employees, it's a lot of work, and he's looking to partner to take the business to the next level.
It's been an absolute exhausting but wild ride for sure.
Sean Varden, CTV News.
And coming up, we introduce you to a woman from Jamaica who had a heartwarming reaction to her first experience with snow. The moment now going viral on social media.
A video of a 63-year-old Jamaican woman experiencing snow for the first time is going viral.
That's
beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
This is Rose Peters, who ventured outside to have some winter fun. After opening the door to see the fluffy white snowflakes falling from the sky, she traveled from Jamaica to Connecticut to visit her daughter for Christmas. You can see she even gets excited about clearing snow off a car and shoveling the sidewalk before jumping into the snow to do her very first snow angel.
Yay!
Oh, that's
adorable.
Amazing. Love that.
It's cool. And we were just saying before we came back that it is cool that we get to experience all 4 seasons here in the variety of weather that we have. I'm sure different depending on if you're having to shovel the snow for the umpteenth time, you know, by yourself. But the good thing is, as we head in towards the next couple of days, we won't have much shoveling to do here in the city, but we are watching for another dose of snow kind of late in the day on our Saturday. But it won't last long as we're getting up to positive temperatures next week. Still issuing some watches and warnings along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, thanks to lake effect snow. But as we head through the next few days, hopefully a lot of those will start to taper off. We're looking at -5, feeling like -13. And as we head in towards the weekend, although it stays a little fresh, I'll take that Sunday sunshine.
All right. Thanks so much, Jess. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching. I'm Natalie Johnson.
And I'm Pauline Chan. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 6. See you then.